And I'm coming to you live from Huddle, Co and Create here in Stockton, California. I have an awesome and an inspirational guest for you, motivational speaker and author, Miss Amy Aquilini. Let's go. Clap it up, heart it up. Welcome, Miss Aquilini. Yes! She's already catching the vibe as we're going to be vibing out. We already been vibing out backstage. And we're connected. And she has this awesome inspirational story, and it wouldn't be nothing else but God and the Creator and all of His good grace and mercy that brought her through. But before we introduce her fully, you know I gotta have our church community announcements. Let's go. Now listen, for y'all that don't really know that inside joke, I grew up in church, and the Black American church has some of the longest announcements ever. And it can be funny at times. We can go until 5 o'clock. That's an inside joke. But we have the South Stockton Resident Summit that's coming to you live here in the city of Stockton. We're going to be representing change makers, those that have gone before us, their ancestors, and those that are still here with us at our award ceremony and our gala, our social justice dinner. That will be starting at doors open at 5:30, and that will be happening October 5th, 2024. Now, the podcast will be there live along with a lot more resources that will be happening earlier on that day. 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. is the Block Party Carnival, where we'll be having live bands playing the oldies but the goodies, the funks that brought you back from your mama, and also those that support it, and community resources. So come in, be in space. We're going to be giving out raffle prizes, gift cards, getting people together, and we're outside, y'all, because we love the people in the community. So shout out to Mayfair Management. They'll be out there running the podcast with We Flow Radio, along with digitally connecting and supporting all of our viewers live. You can see that fully streamed on the Pruned podcast, as well as Facebook Live on the platform of Reinvent South Stockton Coalition. So please join us. That's October 5th, 2024. Remember, free carnival, free food, free rides, and everything else that's happening at San Joaquin County Fairgrounds. And they're going to put that flyer on the Prune Tree Podcast website, as well as our Facebook and Instagram, just to remind y'all. Now, that was my church community announcements. How did I do, Amy?
Oh, pretty bloody good.
There's that Australian accent again. I freaking love it. Listen, let's jump right into your amazing story. Amazing.
Awesome.
When they say you don't look like what you've been through, come on. Based in
Bang.
right, Queensland, she talking about you can go shooting, you can go hunting, you can go fishing. You are a survival of a traumatic brain injury. Tell us about that.
Well, on the 13th of September 2013, I had a near fatal quad bike accident in the early hours of the morning. My journey in a nutshell, I had a Glasgow coma score of 3, which from my understanding means you either die or you'll never be a functioning member of society again. The doctors said that to my family very early on, and that's never been me. Nothing can account for the human spirit. So I ended up with a traumatic brain injury and brachial plexus injury to my right arm. So I have very limited use in my right arm. I've gone on to do everything I was told I would never be able to do again. I'm a mum of 2 beautiful little boys,
Yes.
Jack and Harry. They're in my book that I launched last weekend.
Let's go.
Our Mum is Different.
Yes. Come on.
Yeah.
I love that.
So
Beautiful.
that was collaborated heavily with my children,
Okay.
um, and they have done an absolutely amazing job with evolving, um,
Mm,
because our journey has been pretty full on, to say the least.
mm, Now, you broke 38 bones. 38 bones. You
I
ruptured
think it was more.
It was more
I'm
than that.
gonna Yeah, I've got to redo strong. I'm in the process of doing a second edition. So
Yeah.
that one's limited edition, and
Mm.
I have a big vision for it.
I love that. I love that. And so you are the author of Strong and co-author of Ignite. And in those
Yes.
readings, what are you talking about in those readings? Tell some of our
So in Ignite, I wrote about my business journey, how I have struggled to build a business out of my survival story.
mm,
And it's not a struggle anymore. Life just flows.
come on.
And instead of going like day to day, I've refined that. So
Mm,
I live minute to minute,
come
because that's how I have overcome all my mental health struggles.
on.
Um, and I'm now not on any medication, any substance, anything. And that was something I never thought I'd be able to do.
So this happened in 2013. So it has taken how many years to fully you feel at your level of recovery? Because like you said, it is mental health anguish. What were you thinking when you were lying up in that bed? Did suicide ever come to your mind?
Not while I was in hospital. I was pretty what's the word, like incapacitated. Um so the first time I became suicidal was after I got married. So that didn't last. And now I'm killing it at single mumming with my two boys.
Come on, come on.
It's
Stop.
amazing.
Yes.
I have friends that have said to me, "So when are you writing a book on co-parenting?"
Come on.
Because me and their father get on so well now.
There it is. There it is. That's the maturity of going through something, understanding your purpose in life.
That's
Often
it.
talk about here on the Prune podcast how we often have to break off limbs, how we often have to grow roots in other soil and ecosystems, how our leaves fall off for different seasons, right? I use the tree to support who we are and our emotional well-being, to personify that and help people connect how we have to continually evolve in order to survive. What are some attributes, if you're thinking about a tree, that you can share with some of our viewers and listeners?
The roots. Like I ground myself so many times throughout the day, and I envision like my whole body just being engulfed into the earth.
Mm,
Like a tree is so strong, like we're a tree if we choose to see ourselves that way.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's amazing, the growth, and how all the leaves die, branches fall off, and then they regrow. And that's exactly what we can do with our brains.
come on, come on, come on. You're talking about that regenerative cellular structure of our brain. And a lot of people that have traumatic brain injuries don't never resuscitate that. What was the miracle case in your case? What did the doctor say that what happened in between those years that you were able to now get back to a functional way of life?
So I went through a lot of therapy along the way, and I got to a stage a few years back where I felt like I wasn't growing. And me, like, I have never been one to stand still. I can't stand it. Like, it drives me crazy. Um, Sorry, just
Mm-hmm.
okay. It drives me crazy to not be evolving and constantly evolving. Um, yeah, sorry, that just distracted me, so my brain went.
That's okay.
Um, yeah, a little bit more about my story. So in the early stages, I flatlined twice as
Mm-hmm.
well. Um, and everyone came up to the Townsville General Hospital, which became my home for a year.
Mm.
Um, they kicked me out though. I had to reside in Townsville. My whole family relocated because in that time,
Mm-hmm.
in that time, sorry, just let me pop my phone on airplane mode.
Got
Oh,
you.
will that stop this? Yeah, it probably will. I won't do that.
Okay.
Um, Sorry, that was really distracting.
That's okay.
Where was I?
You were saying that you were now leaving your township because,
Yeah.
yeah, out of the
So they
hospital.
kicked me out of hospital because in hospital I ran right. Like I kept them on their toes.
Let's go.
Um, like I was eating like pureed food and
Mhm.
thickened water. That's all I could have. So every time I'd go for a shower, I'd gulp the water when no one was watching and like nearly kill myself choking.
Mm,
Um, and I guess I was a pretty big liability to the hospital. So
mm,
they said to my family, she can come live at home, but because
mm,
her brain hasn't healed enough yet, you
right.
need to you need to stay in the Townsville area.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So you went
And
you went through a lot of changes. You had to
yeah,
really adjust your life, and it seems like you had a lot of loving extended family support. Does that
definitely.
happen to help with your recovery?
It did. It was a bit of a pain in the butt at times because I could never just do what I wanted to do. And I've
Yeah.
always been that kid
Right.
that don't tell me what to do because
Yeah.
I'll turn around and do it twice.
Right.
Like, yeah, yeah.
So I understand you are a motivational speaker, and some of the topics that you cover are resiliency, mental health and self care, motivation and inspiration, reducing fear and anxiety, how to
Yeah.
live on your own terms, self bullying, brain injury awareness. You're also an international award winner for
Wait a minute.
women
Wait.
changing the world. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. That was so awesome.
I
Oh,
love that.
so
Women's, yes.
so
Go
when I woke up, the next morning, at that time my life was really overwhelming. Um, and I was staying at a friend's house in Townsville, and I I was going through my phone and there was all these congratulations. I thought the awards were on the next night, not the night it was. So I'm like, what the hell did I win? And then I saw it and I just dropped to the ground and like bawled my eyes out. I was so happy. Like I have really worked really hard to get to where I am today.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
And I would say with putting eyes on you and the way you articulate, the way you tell your story, you wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known that you had to come from a vegetated state. Now, do you have the full mobility that you used to have? What did you have to adjust to? How's life?
I had to adjust to firstly being a functioning member of society again and being able to do things myself because
Mhm.
I've always been really independent. Um, but then having children was a massive struggle to overcome. Not just becoming a mum, but becoming a mum with a disability, and and being told, oh, you'll never be able to do this, you'll never be able to do that, you're always going to need support. There are days when me and my boys, we don't have support at all, and we get through just fine. But that's on the weekends. During the week, I do have support to help me with like picking the boys up from school and taking them to tutoring and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
because there are a lot of things I can't do with my children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
how are they? How old are they, and how are they expressing themselves? A lot of times we talk about, and this is a loaded question, so please bear with me. A lot of times when we have parents that may have a massive loss or a massive medical condition, it can seem like it's overbearing to the children. How are you showing up for your children in this way, with checking on their mental health and also supporting how they're adjusting?
So Jack speaks a lot to his father, and we speak really well now, me and his father.
Mhm.
So whatever he can't express to me, he'll express to Andrew and myself, and we'll work on things that way. So, like, as a parent, you try and do the best by your children all the time, no matter what. Um, but sometimes we get it wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm correcting that behavior as we go so
Yeah.
that there aren't any struggles. And I'm showing my children that, hey, if there's a problem, let's talk about it calmly so that we can overcome it. It doesn't need to get heated. We don't need to yell and scream at each other. And let me tell you that staunch mum voice that
Yes.
comes out at times
Oh,
because
come on.
Jack is 7, Harry's 5.
Yes.
Um, and sometimes they just need a little bit of oi, like just to pull them back into line. But I'm very open and honest with my children about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've found that being that way with them,
Mm-hmm.
like, helps them to come to me with absolutely anything.
Ashe, Ashe. And I say Ashe, it's an African word that we use, that what is, let it be so. And that is in agreement with your truth, and also me being in agreement on even how you're conducting yourself. And as a mommy, I'm going to tell you, Amy, that oi, I think
Yeah,
it's
I know,
universal.
right?
I think is universal. We have a culture on which we can say it, and how we certainly connect with our children to let them know. And shout out to brother Amir and sister Amaya. Those are my children, Amir and Amaya. They're 9 and 4. So I
Oh, lovely.
have some right in that area too, of that age range. And the 4-year old was my COVID baby, and
Okay.
and connecting with him, and seeing the world from his view allows for me to slow down. What would you
Mm.
say to single mommies out there? I'm a single mommy. What advice would you give us? What motivation would you give us?
The best thing you can do for yourself, for your children, is to be as present as you can be with your children when they're in your presence, so that you're teaching them that, it's okay to slow things down. It's okay to just go with life. And when we need to be busy, it's okay to be busy too, you
Let's
know?
Let's go. And forming their own ideas and supporting them, loving them and their little personalities. Because I'm telling you, they can be very big at times, even though they're little.
Oh, that's exactly right. So Jack, from me writing my children's book,
Mm,
he is writing his own children's book.
there it is.
So it's,
It's
I
beautiful.
want to write a children's book. It's going to be on this, that, and that. So we've got it mapped out, and okay, this is what we're going to have on each page, and it's a work in progress.
Yes.
So when it's done, and it'll come to life. but I'm not putting any deadlines on anything anymore because, if it doesn't need to have a deadline, don't give it one, because all it's going to do is cause you stress, and that anxiety is going to come back at
Right.
some stage. It's just, we don't need to feel that way.
We don't. We don't. I've noticed that stress kills us, and a lot
Yeah.
more in many different ethnic groups. We carry stress in many different ways. It comes out in our bodies. Um, what would you tell our viewers and our listeners about how we acknowledge the stress, but we don't become it? We don't let it rule our lives.
Well, for me, stress used to be a massive factor in my recovery journey and building my business and bringing myself back to life. But you know what? It doesn't matter.
Mm,
Like, it really does not matter what you have to do today or what you have to do tomorrow. Because if you're going to add that element of stress and you're going to project that out into the world, oh my God, this is so difficult. This is stressing me out. Once you put it out there, it's going to affect you.
mm.
So deal with it internally and don't put it out into the universe.
That's what it is. It's the
Yeah,
putting out into the universe. And so we can resonate energy that we put out, and we also can create and manifest those things. And a lot of people don't participate or really understand how energy transfers in the universe. But like all things, we're made of energy and energy around us, and the things that we say will protract or it will retract that energy. When I
that's
think
exactly
about your
right.
Yeah, definitely. And when I think about your story, I find inspiration. I don't know if I would have the strength. A lot of people, feel like I'm a very strong individual in our community as a leader. But when I think about what you were up against, when I think about how you had to adjust, how you had to live, you said, I chose to live. That is
I
amazing.
did. Yeah,
That's the energy you were willing in the universe. Tell us about that.
definitely. So my mental health struggles used to just destroy me. So substance abuse became a very big factor in my recovery journey, as well as alcoholism. Um, and now that I have completely weaned myself off every single medication,
Come on.
like, it's shown me how clear things really are, and it is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and I'm honestly gonna openly say here that opioids are
Mm.
so much of a bigger struggle to overcome the addiction to
Yes.
than illicit substances. Like,
Wow.
it it was insane how fast it got a hold of me,
Yes.
and and my journey, and how, oh, wait a minute, and how it made my journey so much more difficult than what it needed to be.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
us can't live without the feeling of pain. I've noticed in America, we were blatantly not paying attention to it. We were listening to big pharmaceuticals companies
Mm,
that were, soliciting these drugs to our doctors, and our doctors were saying,
mhm,
"Hey, these opioids are safe. You can take them. They're not addicting." But little did they know they were more addicting because of the chemical reactions than actual heroin. But
mm,
opioids in itself became so addicting within the last 6 years that we have profound loss in our communities.
yeah.
If you were to talk to someone that is struggling with addiction, what would you let them know?
So I've actually got a few clients I'm working with at the moment that have really struggled with their journey, and it's to be okay with who you are today. knowing that that's not who you're going to be a year from now.
Ashe.
But don't just give up and, oh, well, I'm always going to be a drug addict, or I'm always going to need those substances, because you don't.
You don't.
Like, life gets so much clearer and so much better when you remove all of those external factors from your life.
And we talk about the pruning often here on the prune tree. A lot of times we see that success, those individuals that are motivated like yourself, who are self motivated, who are self made, often have to go through a pruning. They often have to
Yeah.
strip some things off of them, understand and self focus and reflect on who the person they want to be. I think that's spoken as a true master. I often have a lot of masters, I call them, on the prune tree who have gone through profound tower moments in their life. And they speak of that. They speak of owning the ability of the struggle because it's well worth it in the end.
Well, it's been it's so healing is never linear,
Mm,
ever. I found my biggest, like, what I owe my life to is my behavioral therapist, and I have recently become a qualified root cause therapist.
all right.
Um,
Ashe.
so that changed my life, because it's one thing to sit with a counselor and for them to tell you, oh, yeah, these are strategies on how you can overcome it. But
Mm,
I have always been that person, or that female, that I need to know exactly why I do the things I do, and exactly why I was behaving the way I was behaving.
okay.
And once I learned all of that, oh my God, like, the world just opened up for me.
Right,
It's
right.
been amazing what has happened in my life recently,
Mm,
and how I'm really owning it.
yes.
So I flew to Brisbane to speak at the doctor who saved my life's 40th birthday.
Wow.
And it was the first time I had heard medical success story.
Mm,
And, well, that just turned me to water. But
mm,
I'm really owning that now. And once I owned my disability in its entirety, like, I made this comment the other day that I feel normal now.
mm,
Like, I feel more normal than what I felt before my accident even. My
wow.
life, like, I have never felt as good as what I do now, like, here and now.
That divine purpose came through. Uh,
It did,
you know,
yeah.
did. And a lot of people may not believe in that, but I've always believed in the divine purpose of a person. And if we take the time to acknowledge those that are around us, we too can unlock the true nature of who we are in this universe. Amy, I want you to know that you have inspired me just with the information you shared on this podcast tonight. I'm letting you know I thank you. And I want our viewers to check your book out. Please plug your where we can find your book, and how we can support you and how we can stay connected.
Okay, if you jump on my website, so www.amyaquilini.com.au, that's got my shop on it, as well as a lot of media and a bit of my story. Go check it out. So I'm really owning being a vibe, like, because I am, like, I don't have any ill will towards anyone, or anything. And I go everywhere, and I change the energy in a room. It's
Come
it's
on,
amazing to be able to do that.
a light worker. You a light worker. I
A
love it.
light worker, yeah. So
Yeah.
I call myself a heart-led light worker, or
Yes.
heart-led thought leader.
Yeah.
Um, I love it. Like, I want people to know that how you're feeling today is not how you're going to feel in a year's time
Mm,
if you choose to change your situation and do the work yourself.
come on. Ooh, I didn't felt the spirit. Hallelujah. Listen to me. You didn't drop some gems tonight on this podcast. We appreciate you. We know it's about 12:30 now is in Australia, right? Queensland.
Yeah. Yeah,
Australia.
North Queensland.
Yeah. And you definitely have other speaking engagements and another podcast that you have to be to. And so this was just an awesome interview. I
It
don't know what to
was.
say.
Oh,
I'm so blessed. I mean, you to connect with you over the thousands of miles away and to hear your story. I am so blessed. I am so blessed to connect with you on the here on the prune tree and all of our viewers to hear your story and your inspiration. Please like and share this interview. It may save a life. We never know who's going through it, who needs to hear an inspirational word. It takes 2 seconds to give a free smile and two inspirational words to support someone on their journey. Amy, thank you again. Renowned author and motivational speaker. We appreciate you.
thank you so much.
All right. Love you. Peace and blessings.
Love you.
Yes. And so we are done here on the Prune Tree podcast. Visit us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with guests that share their stories and their motivational life stories to help you through your journey and your pruning. I'm Rebel Ray, and we'll see you later. Peace, love, and blessings.